Hello everybody, and welcome back to Certified Collectibles. This is another episode of First Appearances of the Week. This is Wednesday, March 9th, 2022. We'll be giving you all the first appearances in your comic shops today. Now this week we have a pretty light week for you guys. I think 5 first appearances, 4 honorable mentions, so only 9 titles in all to go through, but definitely some good titles in there to add to your collection. So let's go ahead and get started for the first appearances of the week ending March 11th, 2022. First up from DC Comics, Batgirls number 4. This features the first appearance of Spellbinder, a new villain. Now, the Batgirls title series is not necessarily one of DC's strongest titles, nor is it one of the most heavily collected, so it really depends on what they do with this new villain that they're introducing. If they bring this villain over to the Batman titles or into the Detective Comics titles, those will definitely have a lot more impact in the collecting community. This one here, if you want to pick this up and spec on it, like I said, it really depends on what DC does with this villain. This right now is a little bit more of a speculative bet. Keep an eye on this one here, but you can put this on your B-list for now. Next up from DC Comics, Batman Urban Legends number 13. This features the first team appearance of the Super Pets, led by Ace the Bat Hound, Merton, Little Nuts, and Ursa. Now, in our opinion, this is definitely a speculative bet, but DC is doing a little bit more with the Super Pet series, especially on the animated series for television for children. So this one here may be worth picking up for a speculative bet, but in our opinion, that's all it is at this point. Keep an eye on this one here, but you can put this one on your B-list for now. Next up from Marvel Comics, Captain Carter number 1. This features the first appearance of Captain Carter in comic books. Now we always say pick up the first appearance of any new characters in Marvel titles. This is no exception. Captain Carter does have the potential to be a very important character for Marvel. It really all depends on how they push this character forward, whether it's in the MCU, streaming series, TV series, or in other title series for the Marvel Universe. But this is one we do think you should pick up and add to your collection. Next up from Marvel Comics, Spider-Gwen Gwenverse number 1. This features the first full appearance of Thor-Gwen. Now, any of these Gwen hybrid characters that Marvel introduces are incredibly collectible. We think this one here is the same. This is one we do think you should definitely pick up and add to your collection. It really all depends on what they do with this Thor-Gwen character, but it really doesn't matter. This is an interesting take, interesting hybrid of Gwen, so this is one we do think you should pick up. And finally for Marvel Comics, Star Wars Han Solo and Chewbacca number 1. This features the first appearance of Keel-Tana, the first appearance of Buck Voncto, and the first appearance of Ovan. Now these are first appearances of new characters in a Star Wars title and a Star Wars Marvel title, so we definitely think these are worth picking up and adding to your collection. You know, Marvel, Disney, still pushing the Star Wars franchise very hard, and you really don't know how any of these characters are going to translate into a feature film, TV series, or a streaming series, so it's always a good idea to pick up the first appearance of these new characters in Star Wars titles. Go ahead and grab this one here for your collection. And now for the honorable mentions. From Image Comics, Little Monsters number 1. They are the last children on Earth, who also happen to be vampires, living amongst the ruins of humanity. Now, Image Comics has had a lot of their titles picked up for small screen and big screen projects, and this one here sounds like it could lend itself very well to a feature film or a streaming series. This is definitely going to be a speculative bet if you choose to pick this one up, but the story sounds very interesting. But this is a vampire story. They do fall in and out of favor in pop culture, so we'll leave this one here up to you. If you want to spec on it, pick it up. Otherwise, put it on your B-list. Take a look at it later. Next up from Image Comics, Radiant Red number 1. This is the first solo series featuring Radiant Red. Now, Image Comics is definitely pushing this new superhero series they created, and this is the first solo series featuring Radiant Red. This may be important later on. It really all depends on what Image does with this new superhero series. This one here may be worth specking on, so this is one we think you probably pick up and add to your collection. Next up from Marvel Comics, Star Wars Crimson Reign number 3. This features the origin of the Archivist. Now, this is the origin story of a new Star Wars character, so this is one we do think is probably worth picking up and specking on. This is an origin story, though, not the first appearance of a new character. Origin stories sometimes don't have as great appeal later on, but for the cover price, we think this is probably worth picking up. Go ahead and grab this one here for your collection. And finally, for Marvel Comics, Women of Marvel number 1. This is an anthology of stories featuring female characters told by female creators. Now, these anthologies that Marvel's been putting out have definitely featured some new characters or new takes on characters that are very collectible. So this one here is probably worth picking up for the cover price. This is definitely a little bit more of a speculative bet. It really all depends on who is introducing this particular anthology and if these stories differ from the stories that have already been told for these particular characters. But we think for the cover price, this is probably worth specking on. Go ahead and grab this one here if you can. If you can't, put it on your B-list. So there you have the 9 titles that we have for you guys this week. Definitely some good titles in there to add to your collection. Please feel free to drop some comments in the comment section below. Thumbs up if you like this video. And as always, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for joining us here at Certified Collectibles, and we'll see you again next time.